Well, 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 my dear Boolas and Barras, welcome back to the Forex Fortress, that is. Plenty to talk about today. Want to follow up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis, of course, and also do a little bit of Bitcoin follow-up here, too, as we are seeing some nice, juicy moves populate right in front of our very faces. So with that in mind, as always, we're starting off with good old Dixie over here. And what is Dixie doing? Well, we said likely to bottom out within this region that we've been looking at for quite some time at the low $92 region, of which so far so good, popping back up to our short-term target, I believe, that we had yesterday, somewhere around about 93 bucks. I still don't have any sort of a strong proclivity for this price action within this region right here. I actually think that it can very easily come back down and test around this macro region, somewhere around the $92 region, maybe even slightly lower than that. But overall, I am still looking for some bottoming action within this region, of which I do believe that we are seeing. So long-term macro, I am still looking at this as a potential long-term reversal zone and getting massively bullish upon that. So with that in mind, it's actually not going to really help out our bias on most of the major US dollar pairings, mostly because I do see that a lot of these things actually trade not necessarily in concert with each other with regards to Dixie as well, because it is a conglomeration, of course, of the dollar's value versus all of the other major currencies within this world. Anyways, with that said, if I did have to call the lower term timeframes on this, I actually would be looking for a little bit of a short-term extension to the upside, somewhere right around about 93 and a quarter. So that likely would be a little bit of downside buys for most of the major US dollar pairings. But again, I do think that it's more appropriate to be going by them one by one and just keep an eye on this one for the macro, of which we're still seeing some bottoming behavior within this region, and I still hold on to the same things that I've been saying for the past like half a year now, I guess. So we'll start it off with good old Aussie dollar over here. And what do we got? We got, did we hit our short-term downside target? Actually, just barely missed it. I think I was saying 72.5 cents. We got up to about 72.60-ish region. However, I would extend this target to the downside a little bit more, just based off the daily right here. Probably be looking for this one to come back down somewhere around about low 72-ish region. So anywhere around about 72 and a quarter and 72 and a third. Looking at the very low-term timeframes like an hourly, yes, a little bit of sideways and down action is what I'll be looking at right here, as momentum does start to shift to the downside on all of the lower term timeframes, plus I believe the daily as well. It's just references. Yes, it is. I typically look at this as a bit of a bearish reset. Looking at daily Stokes, looks like they do want to cross back onto the downside. What essentially does trade aimlessly sideways, and yes, I would be looking for essentially a pullback here. Again, about 72 and a quarter is what I'd be looking for. Moving on, what do we got with CAD dollar right here? 76.5, of which I basically have to say the same thing about this one. In fact, what I've noticed is that Aussie dollar and CAD dollars trade very similar to each other, in the same way that Swiss franc dollar and yen dollar trade very similar to each other as well. Just a weird observation that I've noticed since looking at all these major pairings here. And for this one, I basically have the same thing to say as I just said. Probably down back around about 76 and 25. Somewhere right around here is what I'd be looking for. Short-term downside. What about the short-term timeframes? Yeah, basically the same thing as well. So I would essentially be looking for this one to play out just a little bit more. I'm curious what the weekly looks like here as well. Yeah, weekly is a big fat rejection along what was our medium-term target, about 77 and a half right there. So I wouldn't really be willing to call anything more long-term on this one just yet, but short-term, yes, I'd be looking for a little bit of downside here. Like I said, about 76 and a quarter, I think it was. Yeah, 76 and about 25. Yeah. Anyways, moving on, Swiss franc dollar. What do we got here? This is actually kind of funny, because while the other ones were having a damn good time, this one was coming down alongside yen dollar as well, which are typically one of the more stronger ones. I believe yesterday we were looking for a small move down plus a bounce off this area right here, right around about 108 and a half. We didn't quite get there, although I guess we did kind of get there today at 108.78. I'd probably be looking for a little bit of a bounce here just based off that. However, more long-term, I'm looking at this as more or less bearish. We do see a bit of a bearish reset on daily Stokes here as well, rejecting getting out of the neutral zone and very likely back into the bearish control zone as price action essentially trades sideways, and now it's testing the downside of the range. So typically that is kind of a nice formula for breaking this one to the downside, of which the next sort of short-term target would be right around here at about 107.80, we'll call it, or 107.90. Anywhere within that range right there would be a nice little short-term target. Anything more than that, though, well, yeah, I'm a little bit split on this one, actually. Daily does look like it's ultimately going to have some more downside, but do we see a short-term time frame bounce to the upside first? Maybe back up towards, like 109.5. Maybe. I don't have a strong opinion on that. Daily and above are downside angled here. That is what I do feel confident with. Yeah, weekly, again, I'd essentially be looking for a greater bounce off of 108.5. That's what I'd be looking for, and then I want to really come back probably on Friday and check this one out. This one I don't feel so great with. with. Euro pound, what do we see here? Ooh, some nice downside action. I think that we have hit almost our next target. Hold on, let's see what we were on the daily. Oh, no, we exceeded our target from yesterday. I think I had a target down here towards about 89 even, and now trading actually 88.60. Jesus Christ, man. I probably would be looking for a bounce off this region regardless. Perhaps back up towards around 89.5 cent region. However, I do feel like this one does have some more downside to go overall. So while I am looking for a short-term bounce here, like I said, maybe back up to about 89 89 and a quarter to 89 and a half. Be looking ultimately for some more downside here. I do think that has kind of picked a direction, and ultimately we'll find our way down towards about 88 cent even, and that should likely be the next more medium time frame bounce. I need a damn sippy sip of this water right now. Jesus Christ, man, I am fucking thirsty. Oh, jeez. Woo, man. I had a sushi buffet today for like the first time in a year, and it was amazing. It was great, and now I feel like I got energy coming out from my fucking fingernails right now. It's beautiful, man. Holy fucking moly. Let's do this, euro dollar. Anyways, sorry, apologies. If you're new here, fair enough. Take off your pants right now. Never mind. Euro dollar. So I do believe that we had a target down to the 10 simple on this one, 117.5. Yes, that obviously has been hit. Would I be looking for a bouncy bounce off this region? Yes, I would. Probably short term back up to about maybe 118. But I do think that ultimately this one will break further south, likely back down around a little bit below 117, maybe towards, let's call it like 116 and 3/4 before the next short term bounce once again. However, long term, I do want to remind myself here that, oh, I guess I don't have it on this chart. Damn it, that's really annoying. Oh, well, we can just go to the monthly really quickly here. Long term, I am still, no, it is not on this chart. Okay, so it's got to be my other one. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, perhaps I'll save the long term on this one for tomorrow. But I just want to remind myself that we kind of are within a macro area right here, long term, as far as top behavior goes. So while I am looking for maybe a short term, like extremely short term bounce to the upside, like I said, maybe back up around 118 or a smidgen above 118. Ultimately, I'm looking for some more downside on this one, likely coming back down. Let's call it 116 and 3/4 before the next sort of short term, maybe even medium term bounce right there as well. Anyways, moving on, pound yen, my favorite little shitcoin, and finally finding a little bit of a local top. We did say that there's a little bit more upside on this one yesterday. However, I don't think I gave a specific target, or if I did, it was probably like if I did, it was probably like 139.5. Obviously, that was not just hit, but exceeded all the way up to 140. Fair enough. I would be looking for a little bit of downside here, probably coming back down to about 138 and 3/4 here as well. I'm sure that we have some bearish divergence. Yes, we do. Caretaker's RSI is starting to put in some potential, and I would say that that's going to be confirmed with any sort of a closure below 139 and 35, we'll call it. And then I'd be looking for a move, like I said, down short term to about 138 and 3/4. And then more medium term, I'll be looking to extend that actually towards 138 and 1/4. So with that in mind, moving on to pound dollar. What did we see here? This one a little. What did we say on this one yesterday? Maybe I didn't really. What did I say? What did I say on this one yesterday? That's a real question. Did get another move back up to the top side of the range, to be fair. But I would be looking at this as an area of likely distribution. At long term, I'm very, very bearish on this one. It is a descending triangle that's been going all the way for 3 years now, since February 2017. Of course, this is only going to be relevant for the weekly closure. I do think yesterday, I remember yesterday looking for a move to the upside, probably to test this area officially at 132 and 1/4. But that was obviously not just hit, but exceeded once again. Now, this is obviously not relevant for the daily right here. That's relevant for a weekly. So I would not call this a confirmed break or anything like that, just to be 100% sure. But lower term timeframes, what do we see here? Yeah, I would be looking for a little bit of downside on this one as well. Going to be printing a little bit of bearish divergence between this point and this point, very likely, with any sort of a closure here or lower on the next 4-hour dildo, and that should initiate a move back down to about 131.5. Then I want to come back to it tomorrow and check out the short term once again. Long term, though, really need to see the weekly closure. If we do start to close once again below this region right here, which actually is not even below that region, let's actually get this proper. It'd be a little bit above, like 130. Hold on, what exactly is this? 132.5. then we can talk about potentially a reversal on the weekly. But for right now, no, I don't think so. I still look at this as likely a topping area. Anyways, moving on to yen dollar. Hey, no, that's not what I wanted right there. There we go. Yen dollar. Let's do it. Okay, very similar to Swiss franc dollars. You can see coming down pretty damn hard. Probably going to bounce off the weekly 21, which is where I believe we were yesterday. Basically say the same thing today, and I'd be looking for a bounce back up to the 10 simple at about 95.15, 95.20 region, and then move on from there. Let's see what the very low term. Wow, the very low term time is actually very weak right here. In fact, if I just looked at this, I'd actually be just full on bearish. But no, I just have a rule that I do not short or get super bearish into the first test to the weekly 21 after living away from it from quite some time. So in this case, I'll be looking for a bounce first and foremost. We'll probably come back next week and extend that downside target, maybe down to about a little bit below 94 region. But that's tentatively speaking right now. Nasdaq, what were we looking at here? I think we were looking at a little bit of a short-term upside, and we're getting some short-term upside. Although I do believe on this morning's video I said 11,850. Currently trading today's high 11,785. I still do think that we hit about 11,850-ish region, and we'll come back to it likely tomorrow and see what's up. Looking at the daily here, what do we see? What is on the daily? I mean, it's still hard to hate this long term. I'm not bearish based off this, to be quite frank with you. Short term, I'm looking for a little bit more. After that, I want to come back tomorrow and see what's up. But for now, short term, still looking for that move to 11,850. What do we got next? We got gold action. We got some gold action over here. I'd still essentially remain with my 1800 overall target down here. Seeing momentum also just turn down on the daily as we do essentially break below the range lows. Not going to be the best signal of all time, especially with RSI acting the way that it is. But let's look at a very low term time frame. Yep, short term time frames are bearish here as well. I'll be looking for a short term move back down around 1850-ish region, and perhaps a small little bounce there, and then we'll come back to the daily tomorrow and very likely extend that target over the next couple weeks down to about 1800 base, where I'd be looking for the next bounce based off the weekly, or actually no, not the weekly, but it's the monthly. Yeah, it's a monthly 10 symbol right there. Moving on, what do we got next? We got some Bitcoin action over here. Sweet. All right, well, let me actually go to my crypto list over here, because it's not the BitMexican chart that I've been looking at recently. We've been doing our charting over here on GDAX, and what do we see? We do see that Bitcoin is once again approaching the top side of this proverbial ascending triangle, and as it is right now, is this one likely to break out? Well, we're actually... To be fair, this morning I did say that I'd probably be looking for the breakout either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, based off historical volatility percentile, but we are testing the top side of the range while historical volatility percentile is literally a fucking zero read right now. So that is that's a nice recipe for potential breakage here, with momentum also just turning up and giving a bit of a bias, playing off this trend line and also rejecting the bearish control zone. I like that. Bit of a bullish reset right there too. 4-hour RSI, constructive, very likely back in the bullish control zone. I like that as well. Short term is looking good, and I, just based off of that, and especially the 12-hour closure right here, I do think that maybe it does come back down and test around at 15,400-ish region, but ultimately, I do think that this one is nearly ready right now. However, I'd still be looking at this as a resolution point. What was it? 15,800-ish region on a 4-hour or 2-hour delta closure. Even a 4-hour above 15,750 probably does it. 2-hour above 15,800 still does it. Still got the same areas for the downside as well, which is going to be marked off at about 14,850, I believe it was, right around here. Yeah, I think it was like right around here. Yeah, in this little block right here. So as long as we are above that region right there, I'm really not bearish on this. And because this is an ascending triangle, technically it does have a bit of a statistical chance to break out more to the upside in comparison to the downside. And the measure move and the target would essentially be very, 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 very similar here. I believe we did it this morning. You can certainly reference this morning's video if you want to go into the deep dive on Bitcoin. But I believe the measure move was like 16,700. And then the 2-spot extension right here is just under 17,000 as well. So anywhere within there would look good if Bitcoin does resolve above the topside range, and I also would put caution on the 16.3 region right here, the 1-spot 414, typically going to be a little bit of an algo fuckery target, but only relevant for the very short-term time frames. But if there is going to be a trap, it likely does come around right there. And I need to sip this water. Fuck me, man. There we go. Good for another 2 minutes. Anyways. I'm curious what the other time frames say as well. Do we see all the low-term time frames aligning? Are the stars aligning right now? 3 hour? Yes, very, very low right there as well. Momentum oscillators already leading the 4 hour. Good. Okay, back in the bullish control zone officially. 3 hour RSI, very similar to the 4, as you would imagine. Bi-hourly, same thing, putting a 0 read in at the current moment in time. And momentum oscillators already pointing nice and northward, very erect. And what about the hourly? I was looking fine here too. So fair enough. With all of that said, I still do favor the upside within this. The timing of this though, does it happen today? Does it happen tomorrow? Does it happen on Friday? I don't have there's no real way to get that. It's just like a likelihood, a statistical chance of likelihood. And I'd say within these next, 48 to 72 hours, extremely likely that we do see a break to one of these sides. Again, if it does break to the upside, I'm looking for a move towards basically the upper $16,000 region. If it breaks to the south side, we didn't talk about this on this video. Again, reference this morning's video if you want like the full on deep dive into it. But breaking below about 14,850-ish region, especially on a 2 hour or 4 hour delta closure, I would extend targets actually another $1,000 down towards 13.8 right here and retest into this base. I'm not necessarily leaning towards that happening, but of course, everything is, everything has its own probability. So with that in mind, it's good to plan for both cases in this market. And with that said, I wanted to bring up another thing. There's a really good conversation in the program Discord earlier. I wanted to bring this up because it was really fucking funny to me, but it was also quite enlightening, and perhaps this can help some other people out there too. And someone was saying, Crown, I've been following my trading plan, and I was having some good success up until this last weekend, and then I stopped having good success. And I said, okay, well, what happened? He said, I stopped following my trading plan. Oh, okay, maybe follow that up. And I've been getting a lot of variations of this question, and this is going to sound like it's so obvious, but I can't stress the importance of doing these two things at the very basis. And I can't even imagine that anyone can even have like any real results without doing this. I see this all the fucking time. And it happened to me too. Like, it happened to me too. I'm not trying to like speak down to anyone. This is coming from my own experience. And it's this. If you're going to be successful in trading, there's really two things. There's really two major things that I think I've seen a lot of people, really find value in, including myself. One of them is creating some sort of like a trade checklist. If you're in the TA program, there's a whole video on that, and it's basically the crux of the video is probably what you can guess. It's creating a checklist of exactly what you're looking for a trade. There should be a bunch of different criteria. Obviously, the very important ones like your entry, your exit, your risk management, no shit. But then you want some more. Kind of on the edge ones as well. Perhaps something like a counter signal. What, like if my setup is there, technically speaking, but this other signal is giving me a counter signal, then I will certainly not take the trade. Something like that as well. And obviously you want to expand more and more and more. The more detail that it is, likely the better results that you're going to have. Before every goddamn fucking trade that you ever take in your fucking life, reference that list. And if it doesn't line up with that, and this is assuming that you've already backtested that strategy and you have some sort of data showing that it actually works, then do not take the trade unless it meets all of that criteria. It's that simple. Keep a trade journal as well so you can actually see the results and reference them over time. And that's more often than not, that solves most problems. It's funny that it's that simple, but the problem is that no one really wants to do it. I remember talking to this guy like a long time ago, and it was a very interesting case. It was a very strange thing, and I don't even know why I really went out of my way for this, but I guess just a little bit of naivety, and then also some free time, I guess, as well. But this person was like, he was like really gung-ho about getting good results with trading. He's like, I'm putting all the work in. I'm like, okay, are you keeping a trading journal? No, I'm not. I'm like, what do you mean you're not keeping a fucking trading journal? What do you mean you're not? You got to do the basics. Believe me, no one's above the process, at least that I've found in my life. And I'm speaking again from experience here. When I first started trading, I thought that I really knew better than the market because of my upbringing. My upbringing with regards to trading. I was mentored by some pretty successful traders in the world, and I thought that gave me some superpower. Of course, it didn't. I still had to go through all of the small meticulous things that you have to do that are very unsexy, very unfun, but it does create the basis. And I'd say, and I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it's one of those things that's just so fucking easy to do, but we always look for shortcuts with work because we always want to conserve energy. We don't want to expend energy, and that means that we typically will, listen to something like that and then, that sounds cool, but fuck that. Or maybe I'll do it for like a week and then I stop doing it. It's like, no, this is a lifetime thing. You know, you have to keep on doing it. I mean, you can't really expect results or at least consistent results if you don't do even the basic things like that. So again, I'm not saying this to pick on the person who was in the Discord there. Just more or less, hopefully reassurance in the sense that, hey, you know, you had the results doing an actual plan. All you have to do now is just recreate that and make sure that every trade that you ever take, again, for the rest of your life, meets that criteria. And of course, your plan may evolve over time, naturally speaking, as you get more and more results in your trading journal, most likely, assuming that you're keeping that as well. You'll naturally start to drift in favor of a few tweaks here and there. That's going to likely up your percentage gains. That's really all that it comes down to. It's very unsexy, very unfun, like I said earlier, but that's what it is, or at least that's what I found it to be. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best of the best. Take care, and until next time.